Joining us now, we have Dr. Rebecca Rivera. She is a nutrition research scientist from the Regent Street Institute. She is here to talk with us about intermittent fasting. Dr. Rivera, thank you for joining us.
It's my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so let's just jump right into it. So intermittent fasting, we've heard the term, it's been around for a while, but I don't know about you, but I am hearing it more and more these days than ever. So tell us a little bit about what intermittent fasting is, how it works, and what it can do for a person.
Sure. Yeah, so intermittent fasting has gained popularity, especially in the past few years, but it's actually been around for quite some time. The first research study on it dates back to 1997. And the interest in it originated from noticing that research animals were living longer due to this intermittent fasting. So just the schedule in their feeding patterns. And so when we translate that to humans, intermittent fasting, we define as restricted eating during a specific window of time.
And you had mentioned there were 3 specific types of fasting and that they were designed to, and this type of way of eating or pattern of eating is designed to burn what are called ketones. So can you explain the types of intermittent fasting that there were 3 types that we talked about previously, and the ketones that it's designed to help a person burn? So 2 questions.
So intermittent fasting has a goal of helping your body turn from using glucose or sugar as its primary fuel source over to using fat, which includes fatty acids and these ketone bodies. So intermittent fasting kind of signals and turns on some different mechanisms in your body in order to make that switch. And so when ketones are the primary fuel source, that helps us burn fat faster, which is the goal of weight loss and one of the targeted outcomes of intermittent fasting.
And we can go certain periods. Let's say you're sort of a beginner, you can go, let's say 12 hours fasting with 12 windows of eating. Then you can extend that to 16 hours and let's say 24 hours. Talk about that progression, and then also talk about when we can get carried away with this.
Sure. So there are 3 common patterns of intermittent fasting. And so as you mentioned, we can start extending the window of fasting period any number of hours. And so that is called daily time restricted feeding. So most people would ease into that because fasting for 12 hours at a time is really difficult for most people right off the bat. So you might start with fasting for 6 hours and then progress up to 8, 10, 12. And then you can even move into what we would call a 5 to 2 pattern of intermittent fasting. And so that is eating regularly for 5 days and interspersing 2 days of fasting into those eating occasion days. So you would refrain from eating for an entire 24 hours during a fasting day and do that 2 times per week. Then we also have a 3rd pattern that is commonly studied, and that is called alternate day fasting. And it's just what it sounds like. You eat one day and then you fast the next day. And sometimes fasting does also include consuming a small meal. So maybe 500 calories, 300 calories. That would be up to your health provider to help you determine how best to plan out what would work best for you for intermittent fasting.
And if someone wants to give this a go and introduce intermittent fasting into sort of their eating habits, their routine, what should they do? Who would this be recommended for if they are curious, and who would want to stay away from this?
If you're interested in whether intermittent fasting can help you reach your health goals, definitely talk with your healthcare provider. your physician, your dietitian, your nurse practitioner, whoever provides you with your general health care. And the reason you need to talk with them first before trying it is because they need to make sure that you have an achievable plan in place. Intermittent fasting can be difficult to stick to, and they can help you develop a plan that works best for you. And also, it can have some pretty important health implications. So if not done properly, it can be harmful to your health and actually not help you reach your health goals. So for example, it could lead to really low blood glucose levels. And so if you have advanced diabetes or just susceptible to side effects of this, this can be a really dangerous condition, is to have very low. And then on the other side of that, during your eating days or eating time periods, if you overeat and eat too much, your blood glucose could go really high, and that is also dangerous and can occur especially with people with advanced diabetes. And so your healthcare provider needs to work with you and make sure that on those days or times that you are eating, that you're eating an appropriate amount of calories and also the right mix of foods. So your proteins, your carbohydrates, and your fats are all very important in order to make sure that you're eating all of the nutrients that you need to consume in order to reap the health benefits.
Dr. Rivera, some really interesting information here. Thank you so much. We'll leave it there. Look forward to having you back here again soon.
Thanks, Mary. Take care.
Take care.